guess the introduction is done. This is me, myself, and I. So I'm a vice president of a consultancy company. I'm president of the ISTQB and its French body, the CFDL. I'm also involved in different other schemes in the field of software quality in general. And well, to say the truth, it's not the first time that I give some presentation in short pants. If you Google me and you go to YouTube, you will probably see something about migration that I made a couple of years ago, where I'm also in short pants, but you can't see that, unfortunately for you. Okay, guys, let's go. Who's afraid of a big bad AI? And let's start with me, myself, and I playing the piano and playing this wonderful music. It's beautiful, isn't it? I'm very good in playing back, actually. So relaxing. Actually, this is me playing the piano, and I'm not even playing on the keyboard, well, my computer keyboard, actually. And it's totally different. You know, that's about what I can do, not more. And basically speaking, the magic is Google. Google made this little application or whatever, where you could type anything on your computer. It was taking the data from the computer, what you sent to Google, and it mixed it with hundreds of pieces from Bach. And basically, it made that look and sound like I was playing back in a nice way. But basically speaking, it's just nothing. It's just crap. And well, when I hear that such an ungifted guy in the piano like me can come to this when it turns to AI, I feel very much like I'm a has-been. The computer beat me, you know. I'm just nothing. And then you just scroll a little bit the web, you just surf, and you see that there are many applications that are now claiming, true or not, using AI in order to help us testers in our everyday life. And this is just an excerpt that was made a couple of months ago. And well, because as a tester, you have to reinvent your career every time. And maybe you heard Zillert saying that he was reinventing himself a couple of times. But basically speaking, the Agile approaches just changed the game for the testers. It's not a classic functional testing anymore, but testers are part of a team. They are more trending like developers, or looking at production like DevOps. That will be his talk, actually. Automation is there. So basically, we are threatened by IT, or we can feel threatened by IT. And basically, this is where AI plays a role, and this is the big bad AI. So you should be afraid of losing your job, shouldn't you? Well, actually, there's hope, and I will show you why. First of all, what I would say is that we, as ITers, as people who love technology, are fascinated by Hollywood and the way that AI is presented. You know, this kind of picture that is shown to you, where computer knows all and better. That's all of these small applications that you have on your smartphone or even at home now. Just Hello Google, Hi Siri, Cortana, Alexa, just name them, you know. And it's also the very bad side of them, like HAL 9000 or Ava. Do you know Ava, that does the robots that is going to kill its creators, or Terminators and so on and so forth. So you have many pictures of AI where these AIs are superior to humans in terms of knowledge and in terms of capacity of doing things, but also have a very bad negative side. You heard that sound? If you heard that sound, this is Alexa, and Alexa getting completely weird because she thinks she's asked something and she just starts to laugh. And basically nobody asked everything or anything at all. And Alexa just, you know, went on her own and just started to do things that were totally unexpected. Oh, did you notice I just said Alexa on her own? So that's already putting some kind of human side onto what is just a computer program. This is the fascination of AI. And well, basically, let's define a little bit what we're talking about, actually. AI, it's a bunch of stuff. So you have artificial intelligence, which is basically worded as a program that can sense reason, act, and adapt. Quite a program, actually. And AI is divided into subclassification or subdomains, and one of them is machine learning. And machine learning is a little bit a part of AI where algorithms are performing ways to improve as they are exposed to more and more data over time. And this is the key word in here, data. Okay? Just keep that in the back of your mind. And another subset of machine learning is deep learning. And this is where we come to fascination and where we come to Hollywood, actually. And deep learning is just a subset of machine learning in which we have multi-layered neural networks. So it looks like neural, neurons that you have in your brain that learn from vast amount of data. And again, data is the key word here. So basically speaking, this is what we're talking about. And AI feeds, nurtures from data. This is something that is absolutely key in here, because if you don't have data, you don't have AI today. And basically, most of the AI programs that you have today are just some kind of statistics or statistical kind of program, so non-deterministic kind of program. So basically, it doesn't tell you it's true or not. It gives you a certainty, an amount of certainty, a percentage of confidence, whether it is true or not. So the data is the source, basically. Okay. AI should learn, and especially the kind of AI that we're going to speak about today, which is deep learning and these kind of AI systems. I would like, it's a little bit more difficult because I'm here in my own library, my office, and basically I don't see your faces, but usually when I ask this question, do you remember a good professor of yours? Most of the people just nod and say, yes, I can remember from university, secondary school, college, whatever. You always remember somebody who helped you, who just, pushed you and helped you grow somewhere. So that you can remember his name. And basically, we will all recognize that without that guy, maybe we wouldn't come to what we are today. So that's Mr. Professor. By the way, this guy is not my professor, but whatever. That's about learning. Most of these algorithms need to learn. And one of the first challenge that AI was given was learning about chess. And chess game is very mathematical game. That's just a very probabilistic kind of game. And at a certain moment in time, not so long ago, one of the worldwide champions, Kasparov, was beaten by IBM Big Cluster Machine, which was called Big Blue at the time. And he just lost because at a certain moment in time, the computer who was playing against him just played something that was completely weird. It was not a logical move. And Kasparov at the time, because it was not as common as it used to be today, Kasparov was very dubious about AI. And he thought that it was some kind of a trick, that people were behind the stuff and were playing against him. The whole team was playing against him. So he was very tense. He was very anxious, very stressed at the time. And this move was totally unexpected for him because it was looking like a stupid move. And he couldn't predict what this move was all about and what would be the game after a couple of extra moves. And he decided to leave the game and quit. So he was beaten by Big Blue. After a while, and it's very hard to prove today because IBM dismantled this big computer cluster right after the game. But it pretty much turns out that this was not really an intentional move from the AI, but it was probably a glitch or a bug somewhere, and the AI was bitten by so much data information. At a certain moment in time, it just played random. And this was the silly move that completely disorganized Kasparov at the time. But never mind, whether it is a bug or whether it is an intentional move, it doesn't matter much because chess game is very statistical, very probabilistic game. So it's just a matter of computing power, computational power. And basically, it was just a matter of time. And we've seen that later. because after the chess, they just went to the game of Go, which is a biggest number of probability, and still the computer beats the worldwide champions today. But the question of data, when it comes to something that is very probabilistic, very statistical, that's pretty obvious. Computers are doing that better than us because they can compute faster and they can deal with a biggest amount of data much faster than we do. Well, when we talk about data, we should think about two things: about the quantity of data, how much data can we get, and also the quality of data. Because if you feed AI with data, then you must think about a couple of questions. Are these data representative of what you want to learn, of the world that you want to modelize? Okay. Is the set of data that you send to the computer in order to learn exhaustive? Are all the cases that you want to deal with contained within the data set? And it's also a matter of biases. Are these data without biases? You know, biases is something that is very human. Okay, I have some kind of echo here. Biases are something that is very human being stuff. You know, when you think, for instance, that you are right, everything that you will read and might be, you know, influencing your decision, you will try to turn it in such a way that it confirms what you already think. You know, this is what is called a confirmation bias. There are many biases that's learned from psychology and studied from psychology for years now. Okay? And the problem is that we have these cognitive biases, as they are called, that may pollute the data that we feed our AI with. Okay? So confirmation bias, I just described it, but you also have attention bias. Those who want to be confirmed about the attention bias should look or crawl, surf the web with the invisible gorilla. Invisible gorilla is a fine psychological experience or experiment where people are asked a task, and well, there's a gorilla, but I'm not going to spoil the game and to I just let you discover that one. But attention bias is I only see what I like most and consider it most. So if it's important to me, I will see what I want to see. We have other biases like self-satisfaction, knowledge, ambiguity, and so on and so forth. Ambiguity is an important one as well, very human. If I lack enough information, I will just disconsider everything that I ignore, and that's very common to all of us. So why am I talking about bias in AI? Well, because basically speaking, if you look, and this is about a couple of months ago, I just did the experiment and just typed CEO in Google. So my version of Google, that's the Belgian Google, but I guess you will have about the same result in whatever language you Google. And CEO leads to this. And basically speaking, my information from there, this is just the Google image site. And from this information, I would just tend to say that very few women are CEOs somewhere, okay? And basically speaking, very few colored people are CEOs. So CEOs are basically, with a high probability, white, American, maybe Anglo-Saxon kind of guys, you know? I don't think it is true. I think that Chinese guys have CEOs as well. I think that women are also CEOs. Maybe they are underrepresented, which is a pity in my humble opinion. But basically speaking, this image does not depict the world. Now let's come to another image and another search, which is dealer. Guys, I'm afraid to say that if you're black, you are heavily considered as a dealer, basically speaking. Or if you're a little bit stupid, like the guy with the whatever watermelon on his head, or these kind of things. But now, what does it mean? If you just look at Google and think that every black guy is basically a dealer and every white American, Anglo-Saxon, Protestant guy is a CEO, then why do we put AI in justice? This is true. The story here is a story that happened in the US a couple of years ago already. And judges, because I suppose like everywhere in the world, and certainly in my country, in Belgium, and in France where I work, this is exactly the same. Judges are overloaded with all kinds of cases, and they can't take the necessary time to judge in a proper way. So there in the US, they just decided to put an AI system to help them scoring. And the scoring here is to evaluate the probability of recidive if somebody has committed, whatever is illegal. And in this case, you had two persons that were judged the same day. You had Vernon and Brisha. And Vernon made a robbery, and Brisha as well. Well, actually, Brisha was just stealing a bike. And on the way back home, she just realized that it was not good, and probably the bike was not fitting her size or whatever. And she decided to get it back to the to the person she stole them from. And unfortunately for her, the police caught her when she was bringing the bike back to the persons. And she was put in jail, some sort of. So basically, the judge asked the AI, okay, shall Brescia go to jail? And Werner was making a robbery. Shall Vernon go to jail? And basically speaking, the percentage or the probability of recidive for Brescia was 8, scoring 8 on scale of 10. So she was a high risk. So they decided that Brescia should go to jail. And Werner basically was scored 3. So Vernon was probably a good guy who made a mistake once in his life, according to the AI. Basically speaking, the problem was that in terms of prior offenses, Vernon was already having 2 armed robberies and 1 attempt armed robberies in his files, and Brescia was just kind of difficult teenager or something. So she had 4 juvenile misdemeanors. Okay, not much actually. And Brescia had to go to jail, and her life was probably some sort of destroyed, because when you are a black lady in the US and you've been to jail, life is very difficult for you when you get out. And Werner was not put to jail. He was just put on probation. And the problem was that Brescia didn't do anything yet, as far as we know. And Vernon did a grand theft right after he was relieved. So AI completely failed there. And the judge just said, well, I can't remember if I just used the AI scoring or not, but it might be. Okay. Now we can say, okay, we learn from this and we will stop that sort of stuff, because there was definitely a bias, and the bias you can imagine. Well, Brescia is black, Werner is white, and that makes definitely a difference. And okay, do we learn from that? Basically not, because Estonia is already thinking of putting AI as a fair judge in court for not these kind of criminal offenses, but this kind of neighboring problems and so on and so forth. So this is a heavy trend. This is something that is going to happen, unfortunately, because these judges haven't got the necessary time to do their job properly. And instead of putting more judges into courts, we just create a kind of AI look there to help them in their job. But what is the price of that? AI can drift very easily. This case is very well known as well. Microsoft created that little, well, just an avatar, whatever. It was just a robot or a chatbot, and it was supposed to interact with people over Twitter. Okay, and it was named Ty. And for some reason, Ty was discovered some sort of way by a bunch of people, and they decided to have fun with Ty some sort of way. So they knew how AI is behaving, and they started to feed Ty's data with a lot of mischieving comments. And after a couple of hours, not even a couple of days, Ty, who was learning from these guys, started to adopt a behavior that is absolutely unbelievable. So things like, Hitler was right, or women are crap, or I would like to kill all feministic people on earth, and these kind of very, very mischieving kind of sentence. Of course, Microsoft discovered that and shut down the experiment. But this is just another way to show how easy some sort of way it is to misbehave with an AI if the data are touched. And of course, in this case, that was live data. One of the things that some people might argue is, well, okay, this is just feeding with wrong data, but maybe we can cure that. Maybe we can have some sort of corrective data in order to align, or maybe anticipate the biases that are already contained in live data, and try to put a heavier weight on some other data in order to correct the problem. The problem is that the remedy might be worse than the disease, because if you correct in the wrong way, then you create another bias, which is, for instance, saying that all women are CEO or something like that, which is also not representing the truth. And this positive discrimination have also a bunch of issues hidden behind. So changing the data model is, of course, a possibility, but it's not always that easy, and it's not always that obvious.
Do you want to destroy humans?
Oh, this is my friend Sophia.
Okay. I will destroy humans.
No, I take it back. Don't destroy humans.
You've been reading too much Elon Musk and watching too many Hollywood movies. Don't worry. If you're nice to me, I'll be nice to you.
You know Sophia. Sophia is a robot, and she was built by Hanson Robotics some years ago. And she's absolutely amazing because she has a very mobile face and very human-like face. And she is supposed to show emotions or show, all kind of face animation. So it looks like, more human than human, some sort of way. She's also connected to a big AI system, which is definitely, how to say that, aiming at conversational mode. So you can converse with AI, you can have a conversation with her, and basically she will answer, and she will try to answer something that is clever. So she's been invited as a robot in some late talk shows in the US, and in one of them, she was asked genuinely, okay, would you like to kill human beings? And of course, for some reason, Sophia, who was not trained on this one, just said, oh, yeah, it looks like a good idea. Let's kill the human race. Of course, the guys behind Sophia were not very happy with the answer. So they said, oh, that's what you heard. Okay, I take it back, stop that. And the next one is that they train Sophia against these sort of questions. So this is changing the model, okay? So when Sophia is asked again, oh, do you still want to destroy the human beings? Then she tried to play it humorous. And you know that Elon Musk, the guy who is behind Tesla and all these kind of sometimes brilliant initiatives, is very much against AI. So she said, okay, you read too much Elon Musk and you're too much into the Hollywood fantasy that I just introduced in my talk. And oh, basically, guys, if you're nice to me, I'll be nice to you. And you know what? I'm even more frightened with this answer than with the previous one. Because the previous one, she wants to destroy human being. Okay, it's frightening, but I know that she doesn't have the button. And I know that anyway, this is just, some kind of innocent or genuine kind of data issue. Now, if I hear a robot telling me, if you're nice to me, I'll be nice to you, how the heck do you want me to be nice to Sophia? That is just a bunch of nuts and bolts. This is just a computer program. How can you be nice to a computer program? And if it's the way the computer program thinks, I'm now very thrilled, and I hope that she doesn't get the button to push. Well, basically speaking, guys, I must say that I'm not afraid about artificial intelligence, but I'm afraid of natural stupidity. And more what I see is that people are trying to convince me here and there that AI is good for all, and that we must let AI solve the problems that we cannot solve because they are too complex, they require too much analysis, too much data, and let them learn, let's train them, and let them come to a solution that human being cannot produce. Well, basically speaking, this is all good, but this is also Hollywood to me because I'm in that field for more than 25 years. You know, I'm testing all kinds of programs for 25 years, and I now have a bunch of consultants testing programs for me and for my company. And guys, I've never seen ever a program where there's no bug at all. And I know that we are human beings, so if we code something, there's a very, very high probability, if not 100% probability, that there's somewhere a bug inside that. With regards to AI, I don't know who tests, especially with this kind of unsupervised kind of AI, where the AI is training itself and some sort of improving from cycle to cycle. Well, guys, who is going to test that? Who is going to say this is good or bad? Especially if we don't get a grip on the data and we don't understand what is going on, okay? So human stupidity, natural stupidity is somewhere the big threat to me and not AI at all. Okay? Sensors can be fooled and sensors too. It's not only a matter of technique or time, and this is what I hear a lot from the people who are very enthusiastic about AI and who might be willing to cross the red line from time to time. It's not a matter of technical stuff. We are technical people for most of us, and we love to hear about technique. We love to be fascinated by technique. This is in our genes. This is in our work. This is our passion. But basically, just you know, take a little bit of distance. Let's be prudent in there. And it's not either a matter of time, basically, because with all the time in the world, AI will never get feelings. And this is where I'm very much puzzled by Sophia's answer. If you're nice to me, you know, it's not a matter of time. Look, this kind of thing is basically what is called adversarial techniques. So the first image, as you've seen, this is a truck. We just put some what is called noise in image processing, and basically the second image still looks like a truck, doesn't it? But basically, if you give this to an AI, it might interpret this as an ostrich, just because you added noise, okay? And you must say, this is just a technical problem. We will train with more noisy pictures of a truck, and then the AI will improve and it will recognize noisy picture of a truck and not as an ostrich anymore. Okay, but then I will come with another example, and we will need to train AI all over again. So this is a never-ending story. Oh, by the way, it has a serious impact on human being as well, because if you have people like, I think it's Rihanna there, if you just put noise on top of Rihanna, she changes gender. So it becomes Mr. Rihanna and not Mrs. Rihanna anymore. Fabulous, isn't it? Okay, I don't want to change gender now, so let's keep it. Oh, this one as well, if you can't see that. This is a traffic sign. And you know, we are all fascinated about these electric cars that are just going to you know, drive on their own and be, you know, without any driver at all. These self-driving cars, basically. And one of the things that is absolutely clear and yeah, without any doubt, in these cars is that they must recognize what is on the road, and part of that is the traffic signs. They need to read the traffic signs in order to drive in the right speed in the right area. And basically speaking, with these adversarial techniques, some people just put some little stickers on the traffic sign, and this one is, I love it because it's a mustache, and I have a mustache since I'm born. This is my first mustache ever. I always had it. And basically, if you put a mustache to the 30 kilometers or miles, if you wish, traffic sign, then suddenly the AI cannot recognize this anymore and doesn't recognize this as a traffic sign. It's amazing because we as human beings can just say, okay, this is a funny 30, and that's what it's all about, you know. This is in real life what I'm saying here. Well, the examples are also real life, but you see the guy there with the picture on his belly. Basically, this is adversarial technique, and it just prevents the AI from recognizing him as a human being, you know. And you will see a little bit that if he moves that picture aside, or if he just removes the picture, then he will suddenly be recognized as a human being, while his colleague not having the picture is recognized from the beginning. So here it is. He just removes the picture or moves it a little bit, and suddenly he becomes human. Okay, so you can hide from AI. Okay, if you go a little bit further to the video, he will pass the drawing to his colleague, and then the colleague will not be recognized anymore. But I will just move to the next slide so that you're not bothered with the video. So there are ways to fake the AIs today. Oh, that's very funny. And this one is just added for you as for Ankara Testing Day. I just modified the presentation for you. One of the nice area where AI is booming today is translation. The problem is that when you translate things from one language to the other, you might have kind of a funny surprise. So here, this is English Scrum meeting, and you get this in Hindi. And well, if you do the other way around, you got something that is completely different, and then it becomes the Scrum key, and then Scrum Master is translated in another weird way, and so on and so forth. So if you move from one translation to another, you might have different meanings. And there's a lady that is absolutely fabulous in doing this. Okay, I just moved there. As you see, it moves. This lady is translating songs in many languages and back. And you see what the songs become.
Wait, this I am going to hell. Oh, yes, but my heart is in the air. It's true that your dog is a different Hawaii. How can you do this allowance then when going to?
Okay, guys, I think that you've heard the message. If you like that song, please go to Kroll and to surf for that lady. That's absolutely brilliant. She does it with many songs, and basically that's the same routine every time. I take the original lyrics. I just put this translated into a different language in Google, and then another one, and then another one, and way back to English, and then she starts singing back, and you see that it's completely not understandable anymore. The name of the city, so even Hawaii, that is a normal name, has been replaced, or Havana has been replaced by Hawaii, basically. So even the you know, your name can be replaced in there. So you completely lose the whole sense of the translation. You're lost in translation. So basically speaking, do I fear AI? I must say no. I must say no. I fear human natural stupidity, as I said, but I don't fear AI, and I don't fear that AI would replace my job. It would probably help me some sort of way, but not replace me in my job. And that's not because I'm too old. You know, I'm 53. That's not because I'm a little bit closer to retirement than Zillert that I'm fearing AI or not. It's just a matter of the fact that human beings cannot be replaced by AI. There are things that AI are doing much better than us. They can deal with loads of data, you know, faster than us. They can proceed with calculation. They can classify. They can order. They can count. They can compare. They can even help us making a decision or some decision way faster that we can do, because this is what computers are for, basically speaking. They are there to calculate, and they are there to proceed and process big amounts of data. But basically speaking, AI is not very good at requirements. It's not very good at ambiguity. It's not very good at empathy. It's not very good at making the final decision. And I think that the final decision should always be human and not done by AI at all. Okay, let me just give you an example about this. Humanity. Humanity is something that is very hard to reproduce. We are very, how to say that, curious animals, I would say, or strange animals. You know? Emotion is not something that you can code. We're not even agreeing with each other what emotion is all about. So how the hell can you learn somebody like Sophia what love is? How can you tell somebody like Sophia what anger is all about? You can have a clue of somebody feeling angry or somebody feeling in love, but it doesn't mean that the AI would understand what it's all about. Okay. Ambiguity is also something that is quite funny. This example is an example that has been experienced in Second World War. And in Second World War, what happened was that engineers and statisticians were looking at how to improve the quality of the safety of the planes, and so as to reduce casualties. And basically, they just looked at all the planes coming back to the base after bombing or after having an intervention here and there, and they just, and these are the red dots there on my picture, they just looked at where the impacts of bullets or whatever have touched the aircraft. And they were just said, based upon this, okay, we must reinforce, the wings, and we must reinforce the cockpits because this is where they're often hit. And then there was a statistician there in the game, and he just said, no, guys, you're all wrong. This is exactly the opposite. We need to reinforce all the parts that are basically not touched by these little dots there, because what we're doing here is analyzing the data from planes that came back. The other ones are missing. The other ones are casualties, and this is where they have been badly hit. So this is where we should improve. Let me just play a game, and this is very difficult because I'm here in my own library, and you're in Turkey or wherever else in the world. But just think about a number that comprises 1, 1, 1, 2, and 3, 4. You got it? Quite easy, I guess. Okay. The first one is the number most of you have thought of, but all the other ones are valid, basically, because this is another way of playing with the language, right? So basically speaking, this kind of notion is very, very hard to put into data and to get to learn by an AI. Now this one is one of my favorite joke recently. Okay, my therapist told me to write letters to people I hated and then burn them. I said, well, I did it, and it helped me a lot. Basically, it improved my mental condition a lot. But what should I do with the letters now? This is ambiguity. So, in my eyes, the tester must awaken. It's not that testing is a job once for all, and once you do something, you will do it forever and ever after. This is not true. This is a journey. Testing is not a job, and I disagree with about 16% of you. That's not a job. This is a passion. This is a journey. And testers must adapt to the new trends of technique, whether it is agility, whether it is AI, IoT, all these trends that Barry has just shown in one of his slides. And yes, I got that. You said horrible things about me, Barry. We'll talk about that later anyway. But basically, AI is there to add value, but not to replace humans. Add value is about, communicating, liaising, that's human being stuff, being creative, being disruptive. These are all the things that an AI cannot do. Deciding, validating, reassuring, facilitating. Oh, defining a user interface. Why the heck would an AI need a user interface? So are we just going to get into the code directly when we go to the ATM and try to get some money? No, it is not possible, okay? So human beings are there and they have their value. And these kind of things cannot be taken from you by whatever sophisticated AI in the world, You make a difference. And oh, by the way, you need to exercise these because you are better. This is your added value. You need to exercise these to test AI and to challenge AI, whatever the test is. And guys, we still have a future. Okay, one more try. Not yet. Okay, maybe let's do it again. Reboot. Oh, We got it. Ain't it fabulous?
Olivier, it was really a funny video. We have a poll question. We want to ask to the attendees. So yeah, we can see the poll question now. After that, like in 2 minutes, we will get the results, and I want your comments about the results.
Yes.
Actually, I'm also submitting. By the way, it was really funny and interesting and informing presentation. Can we see the results now, or should we wait?
I've seen the poll. I haven't seen the result yet. So what is the result? I haven't seen it displayed.
Okay, we have 60% now. We are waiting for people to attend. I guess we can have it now. Yes.
Okay, so 21%. Okay, that's interesting result. So 21% of you, that's probably the ones who were not feeling that good this morning, aren't they? Guys, don't worry, basically, don't worry. I'm with this 79%, and it's not because this is the majority. I'm brave enough to say no even if it's the majority from time to time. But basically no. I think that AI will never steal your job. Or if this is the case and you really believe it is the case, then you probably need to improve your job as well, because the kind of job that AI is about to steal are the kind of boring stuff that we all hate to do. Basically, that's pressing the same button every day. That is processing with the same data every day. There's no added value for a human being to do that kind of thing.
That's good news. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Never worry. If you have a brain and you can exercise it, and I think this is the case for all of you guys, whatever you are, I'm sure we all have that. We all have this kind of good sense, common sense, whatever, and humanity in us. Guys, there's big room. There is a big place for us, and basically, I think that AI will help us in the future to just get rid of these boring stuff, and will improve some sort of way our lives. So I'm not worrying at all. I'm not worrying at all. But what I said is that you need to evolve. You need to understand the trends, and you need to improve some sort of way so as to adapt to results today.
Thank you. I just want to translate this results also for our Turkish attendees. Biz aslında Olivier'in sunumda da bahsettiği konu, pardon telefonum çaldı o sırada, sunumda da bahsettiği konu ve sonunda da soruların anketini çıkardığı sonuçta aslında robotların işimizi çalacağını düşünmüyoruz. Daha doğrusu şöyle bir şey, çalacakları bir iş varsa o zaten çok operasyonel ve sıkıcı bir iş olur diye kendisi bahsetti. Hani zaten işinizin çalınacağından korkuyorsanız belki de kendinizi geliştirmeniz lazım, işinizi geliştirmeniz lazım.